Welcome to Frugal Finance, everybody. Today I have some sad news. It is the end of Debenhams in the UK. The very last shop has shut. Let's have a quick look at the news article on the BBC website explaining exactly what's gone on with Debenhams and how they'll be trading in the future, and my thoughts on really what went wrong for them. So, without further ado, please do smash the like button, little blue button down there, just give it a good old tap, send it blue. Please put some comments. Do you think that I've missed anything at all? What are your views on Debenhams? Do you think they're always a dying business? Do you think there are other businesses that will go the same way? So please do feel free to put your comments down below. And whilst you're at it, if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe, hit that notification bell. It lets you know when new things are coming on for me, and we go from there. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. So here we are on the BBC website here, and we've got Debenhams. Obviously, it's an end of an era for them. Unfortunately, as you probably will be aware, in the new year, they went into administration. They couldn't find a buyer, and that is the end of the high street from Debenhams. Obviously, as you may know, retail online retailer Boohoo have bought the rights to sell Debenhams branding and associated website, all that kind of stuff, for 55 million, but it will remain online only. Obviously, as you see here in the article, the company traces back to 1778, so it's not exactly like it is only 100 years old or something. This is a massively old company, with a lot of heritage on it at all, and all business structures aside, it is a real shame to lose a company that has been around for that long. The name Debenhams obviously will remain online, but whether or not Boohoo will continue to use that branding long term remains to be seen. So you can see here, Debenhams has already announced that 52 shops will close on the 8th of May, and the remaining sites will shut on either the 12th or 15th of May. So that is the end of that era, if you like. 12,000 workers losing their jobs. Obviously, that's on top of the pandemic-related issues as well. So you wonder really what went wrong with Debenhams in its 242-year history, and I think it goes to show that market forces and things and changes can really come and hit even the biggest and most stable and long-lasting companies from the middle of nowhere. Obviously, the high street was looking like it was failing before, and bricks and mortar businesses were losing out to online retailers. But at the end of the day, if you don't adapt your businesses and start to compete with those those new upstarts or up and coming companies, then realistically you are going to fail. When I was at university, one of the things I did with my business degree was to do a case study on Halfords. Now, when I worked there as an area manager before I went to university, they were owned by Boots, and Boots sold them to a private equity firm, a French-based sort of venture capitalist who turned companies around. And Halfords themselves went through two kind of turnarounds as far as I was concerned in that time, and the case study that I did. One was that they recognised that the stock that they had on the shelf was actually becoming increasingly useless and not really relevant to people. They had a lot of things like starter motors for cars, engine parts, and the rest of it. And the market really shifted towards kind of unit replacement, and almost like you can't fix your own car anymore yourself. You need specialist tools, and the day of dad tinkering with the engine bay on the driveway on a Sunday morning and fixing the carburetor and all that kind of stuff has long since gone, really. So they decided to stock less stuff like that, and they really started to focus their market on the kind of cycling industry and the sort of car accessories, window wipers, consumables, air fresheners, that kind of stuff, and also some camping gear and things like bicycle racks, roof bars, that sort of thing, and fitting things like light bulbs and stuff like that, because they recognised that those services were required in a kind of retail environment rather than having to go into a garage. Even things like car stereos and stuff, but massively moved away from all of that. It's a very bespoke part of the market now. So they went through that kind of transition, if you like, and they also went in a transition of downsizing their stores. They had these mega out of town stores, which they've now compressed an awful lot of their stores, and you'll notice that they've gone for a sort of mezzanine floor approach where, ironically, the bike department's always upstairs, which I thought was a bit funny because bicycles are quite big items to lug up and down the stairs. But anyway, does stop people pinching them easily. But yeah, they kind of went through that stage, and that shows that, so obviously a venture capitalist firm, a young dynamic board, have come on and made those decisions. Now there are lots of examples, but the thing with Debenhams is that their business model was massive mall and out of town style shopping centres, which are really a thing of the past. People tend to browse online nowadays, and they don't tend to kind of go to a Debenhams and think, oh, it's a one-stop shop for everything. I can get something to eat, I can get clothes, I can buy a gift for Auntie May, I can go and get the birthday presents, I can also buy a coffee percolator and a new set of cutlery. Those sort of stores are not really required anymore, and not only are they not required, the overheads and retail space are absolutely colossal in terms of rents and business rates and things. So, to be honest, Debenhams' business structure, if you like, is a very old-fashioned one. So I see, the fact that they haven't made changes and adapted to things is really their downfall. They're not dissimilar to the likes of Marks and Spencer's in their business structure, but Marks and Spencer's has a food section to them, so like a supermarket almost, and it's very, very popular, especially with kind of middle upper class people who like to maybe think they've got something slightly better. In fact, actually, it can be good value for money at Marks and Spencer's if you look for some of their products, but they've got a good customer strong basis. But you see less and less of their big massive stores now, where they've got kind of clothes and consumer goods and utilities for the house and all that kind of stuff, and furniture and things. You see less and less of that, and the same with Next. Really, they've got their few odd out of town jobbies, but in reality, the little independent standalone stores probably do just as well in terms of profit margin as the massive stores with the big overheads, and that is what Debenhams was all about. It just had massive stores. That is it. It didn't have many or any really small stores. So, and there's only so much room for so many people on the high street, unfortunately. So I think that's a good, kind of my view of things. Obviously, I probably lost out lots of things, left out lots of things even, and there's lots of people that will have different opinions on them, and various other things. And I don't believe they have the same problems as, say, BHS had with a massive pension potholes, Arcadia Group, all that kind of stuff. Debenhams, in that sense, was probably quite a lot more stable. It's just their business model wasn't adapted early enough. They needed to be doing what the likes of Halfords and Next and so on have been doing in terms of adapting and changing their business structure back in the early 2000s.
So that's just sort of my thoughts on things, really. Obviously, as I said, they needed to be changing their business structure some time ago in order to survive in this current market. But really, interestingly, I think what is going to happen to all those buildings now? I know the government have done an awful lot of changes on permitted development rights. But that kind of business structure is really old hat, and some of those buildings, I mean, I'm down in the southeast and there's one in Eastbourne, and it is a horrible building. It is mid you know, it's Victorian era, it's all funny stairwells. I mean, the Debenhams itself was on like 7 floors, and it was like a rabbit warren. You went up a lift and one bit and then back and another bit, and it won't comply to fire regs, not nowadays anyway. Obviously, you know, retrospectively it probably complied, but if it was a new shop going in there and kitting it out, it wouldn't comply. It doesn't comply with many disabled acts. It's got stairs in the middle of the stores, only like 4 steps up sort of thing, because it's all different layers, and a horrible building to maintain, very highly costed. It's rendered and it needs painting continuously, and this is a surveyor coming out at me, but you know, that Debenhams was littered with those style of buildings, and though they're all empty right now, so I think really it's the developer's opportunity to come in and divide them up and either make them into residential or maybe serviced offices or whatever. Obviously that sector itself is a bit up in the air at the moment, but yeah, I think the likelihood of somebody taking over those buildings as a single occupier is next to no chance, really, in my opinion. So yeah, shame about Debenhams. Shame they couldn't sort themselves out and predict this, and that just goes to show, as I said at the beginning, that you know, if you don't be dynamic and see forward and proactive in your business plans, then these things do come along to bite you. And you know, even when they do appear from nowhere, you have to be dynamic and have to adapt to things. So anyway, so as I say, let's have a salute and a minute's silence, not on YouTube obviously, but and in a slight gesture of jokiness. But it is a sad day, really. I did like them. I've always been a big supporter of HMV. It's a big part of my childhood, but personally, I'm not sure their business structure really stands up in the modern world, but you know, we shall see over time. They have adapted themselves, so hopefully there won't be too many more companies like this. So quick nod to Debenhams. I hope all the staff find work, and you know, the buildings themselves don't go to rack and ruin. So with that said, please give us a little comment below, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. I'm really grateful for those of you that are watching it all the way through to the end. It's really helping, because YouTube assume that the content is interesting and people like to watch it, so then they pump it out to a wider audience. So I'll see you soon.